Alright, today we're going to go over some basic scripting. Now, you might return to school and see that your project is missing from the workspace. So what I want you to do is go to projects here and then look for this little cloud and click on that. And then download it to the desktop and hit select folder and it'll begin to download. Now what I want you to make sure of is that you're not you're not relying on the desktop to save it and that you're pushing it up to Collab and you're also further backing it up on OneDrive. So I'm going to pause the video and let um, my project download from the cloud. So now that we're in Unity, so that we're all looking at the same thing, go up to the right hand corner and change the layout to 2 by 3. Alright, now we made an eyeball. We never textured it, and we're going to do that probably after this. But before we even bring in our character and manipulate it or whatever, we want to create sort of a test scene just to sort of move our character around. Oftentimes I'll dabble in this test scene and it becomes my tutorial level because I want the controls and all of the movement to be so easy that the player understands it. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to the top here and do File, New Scene. Now I'm in a new scene. And in my Scenes folder here, what I'm going to want to save is a tutorial scene. So I'm going to go up to the top and do File, Save As, navigate to my Scenes folder, and I'm just going to name it Tutorial. Alright, now the scene is called Tutorial. You can see it at the top. Let's go to Tools, Pro Builder, and let's just make a plane. And if you notice that yours is sort of chugging a little bit like mine is, go to Tools, or I'm sorry, Window, Rendering, Lighting Settings, and what you want to turn off is you'll see that you have a scene section here, and at the bottom it'll say Auto Generate. Turn that off, uncheck that, and then close it. We'll generate the lighting ourselves later. Alright, so on this plus sign here, next to New Shape, we want to add a plane. And then I want these width segments to be 0 and 0. I'm going to go ahead and hit Build. And notice that my pivot is centered and I'm at 0, 0, 0. And that's what I want. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to make a sphere that we're going to script, but the floor itself is it has this default checker pattern from ProBuilder and it's too white and it's going to conflict with my sphere. So if I go to Game Object, 3D Object, and Sphere here, and I move it above the plane, see how it's below the plane down here? If I move it above the plane, what you'll notice is even though it has a shadow, it still loses itself because of the lighting. So we're going to go ahead and apply a green material to this ground. So in the models folder here, we're going to right click, create another folder, and just call it environment. And then in this folder, I'm going to create another folder and just call it ground. And then I'm going to go further and make another folder inside of here, or I'm sorry, I'm going to go into this ground folder now. I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new material. And here it is. And this material, I'm just going to name it grass for now. And I'm going to change the albedo color here to green. Now I want to use this material on this. And the way to do that is over into the Pro Builder window, you'll see a option called Material Editor. Go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to drag this grass sphere onto Alt 2. Now don't drag it directly onto the terrain. You probably noticed as I brought it over, it still worked. This will lock it into place. Is if you select this and you press Alt 2, this will actually apply the material. If you edit this and you do Alt 1, oftentimes when you you're playing with the option. If you don't do it this way, and let's see if it does it this time. If I just drag this on here and I go to move this, it seems to stay now, but more often than not, it won't. So just as a good practice, make sure to always apply it this way. And what's nice about this is if you only wanted to apply it to certain faces, right? So let's say the center was grass, but and I'm holding shift to extract here. This is a sidewalk and this is also a sidewalk and you didn't want that to be grass, but you wanted to keep it this material. I can just select only this face and then press Alt 2 or select it, and there's my sphere on grass. And you can see it didn't apply it here. Otherwise, if you drag it on here, it's again, it potentially couldn't lock it in place. Okay, so we're done with this, and um, let's see if let's start looking at how we script. All right, so inside the models, you'll see we have the models scenes folder. On assets, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this one scripts. And within this folder, I'm going to right click and I'm going to create another C# script, and I'm going to call this player controller. Now, I want you to take special note of something. If the name of your script, which is player controller, it has to match the name where it says public class player controller. So a lot of times I'll see people do something like this where they'll create a C# script, they'll click off of it, and then they'll right click, rename it. And they'll just say, they'll name it whatever. So here's new name. Notice that even though this says new name, the public class new behavior script does not have the name new name because you have to do it at start. So a resolution to this is you can double click this, and when your script opens up, you can rename this to new name like this. And that'll avoid any sort of future errors. Because right now, if we were to run it, we would get this massive error saying that the script doesn't exist without us renaming it. So for now, the best practice is, and I'm just going to close this out and delete this, is to either make sure you rename it at start. Now also notice that I named player controller. I'm actually going to make this more of a one column, and um, let's do, I think that's good for now. That way we could see the whole name in this sort of order. So player controller. Notice I named it with a capital P for the first word and a capital C for the second. This is called camel backing, and it's sort of an industry convention. So what we'll do is on our sphere, this is our last step, I'm going to grab my player controller and add it onto there, the script. And then what we'll do in the next video is we'll actually start scripting it.